What happens when a woman in jeans walks into a luxury car dealership, gets laughed out the door, and returns with a secret that flips the script? Stick around to the end. This twist will blow your mind. Bayview Motors sparkled under the California sun, its glass walls showcasing a lineup of dream cars. Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Rolls-Royces, each one a ticket to a life most could only imagine. It was a crisp Saturday morning in late October, the showroom humming with soft jazz and the murmur of wealthy clients sipping espresso. Emily Harper, 34, stepped through the automatic doors, her dark blonde hair tied back in a messy bun, wearing a faded gray hoodie, worn jeans, and scuffed sneakers. No makeup, no flash, just a quiet confidence in her hazel eyes, a strength forged from years of grit. To the untrained eye, she was nobody special. To those who knew her, she was a force of nature. Emily wasn't here to impress. As the founder of the Roots Foundation, a nonprofit lifting up foster kids and single moms across Bayview, she'd turned a shoestring budget into a $20 million operation through sheer will and a degree in social work. Few knew she was married to James Carter, 40, a low-profile tech mogul whose company, Carter Innovations, had revolutionized data security and raked in billions. Emily lived simply by choice, her wealth a tool for good, not a badge to flaunt. Today she was shopping for a gift, a sleek black Mercedes-Benz S-Class, priced at $130,000, for her best friend, Sarah Lopez, 36, who'd just beaten leukemia after a brutal 2-year fight. The showroom buzzed as Emily's gaze landed on the Mercedes, its curves gleaming under the spotlights. She smiled. Sarah deserved something bold and beautiful after all she'd been through. But before she could speak, a voice cut through the air, dripping with sarcasm. "Lost, sweetheart." It was Mike Reynolds, 42, the sales manager, his pinstripe suit crisp, his red tie screaming self-importance. Mike prided himself on spotting real buyers a mile away, and Emily didn't fit the mold. He smirked, eyeing her hoodie and sneakers. "Cars here start at 100 grand. Maybe try the used lot down on 5th Street. A ripple of laughter spread behind him. Jessica Tate, 27, a rookie salesperson with a sharp bob and sharper tongue, stifled a giggle, while Ryan Brooks, 31, a cocky mechanic polishing a nearby Porsche, joined in with a snort. Customers turned, a middle-aged couple in designer gear, the Wilsons and a guy flashing a Rolex. Their stares a mix of curiosity and contempt. Emily's cheeks flushed, not from shame but from a slow-burning anger. She took a breath, voice steady. "I'm here for that Mercedes S-Class." Mike crossed his arms, grinning like he'd heard a bad joke. "The S-Class? That's $130,000 limited stock. You want to look? Fine, but it's serious buyers only. Appointments required." Emily tilted her head. "I don't need to look. I want to buy it." Mike's laugh boomed across the showroom, loud and harsh. "Buy it? You're kidding, right? That's more than most people's houses." Jessica and Ryan cracked up, customers whispering. A young salesman, Ethan Miller, 24, hovered nearby, his face reddening with secondhand embarrassment. He stepped forward, timid. "Ma'am, I can tell you about the car if—" Mike waved him off. "I've got this, Ethan. Stay in your lane." Mike turned back to Emily, his tone patronizing. "Listen, I'm not here to play games. You got $130,000 in that hoodie pocket? Or maybe a deed to your trailer park?" He pointed to the door, smirking. "Do us a favor and head out before you waste more of my time." Just then the Wilsons, Tom and Linda, strolled toward the Mercedes, and Mike's demeanor flipped like a switch. "Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, welcome back. Let me show you this beauty. Reserved it just for VIPs like you." Emily was left standing, the room's mocking eyes on her. The owner, Charles Chuck Donovan, 53, emerged from his office, drawn by the commotion. His gray suit screamed authority, but his glance at Emily was dismissive. "What's going on, Mike?" Mike shrugged. "Nothing big, boss. Just some lady thinking she can buy the S-Class. I'm showing her the door." Chuck nodded, sizing Emily up. "Name?" "Emily Harper," she said, calm but firm. Chuck's smile was thin. "Ms. Harper, this is a high-end dealership. If you're serious, book an appointment, bring proof of funds. Otherwise, we're done here." Emily met his gaze, then Mike's, her eyes narrowing. "Got it." She turned and walked out, Mike's voice trailing after her. "Some people don't know their place," he muttered, loud enough for all to hear. Outside, the Bayview breeze hit her face as Emily pulled out her phone. Back at their quiet estate in the hills, a modern ranch house hidden behind redwoods, James Carter looked up from his desk as she walked in. After 14 years together, he could read her like a book. "Rough morning?" he asked, setting aside his work. Emily sank into a chair, recounting the ordeal. Mike's condescension, Chuck's approval, the room's laughter. James listened, jaw tightening, but let her finish. "It's not about me," she said. "I can walk away knowing who I am. But what about everyone else who gets judged like that with no way to push back?" James nodded, eyes thoughtful. "So what's the plan?" Emily sighed. "Part of me wants to buy Sarah's car somewhere else and forget it. But then I think of that kid, Ethan, who tried to help me, and all the people who face this crap daily. I want them to see worth isn't skin deep, not for revenge, but for awareness." James grinned, an idea sparking. "I've got something that'll do both. No buying the place and firing everyone. I know you'd hate that." Emily laughed. "Good. You handle it, though. I don't need to see their faces. Just tell me how it goes." James nodded, picking up his phone to set the wheels in motion. Sunday morning dawned bright over Bayview Motors. Mike Reynolds strutted in, adjusting his red tie, still chuckling about yesterday's hobo lady over beers with the team last night. "Another dreamer," he'd bragged during the morning briefing. "We've got to filter out the riffraff, focus on the elite." Ethan sat quiet, uneasy, but kept his head down. At 10:15 a.m., a deep rumble shook the air outside. A Rolls-Royce Dawn, jet black with custom chrome, rolled up to the entrance, its $400,000 price tag gleaming in the sun. Conversations died, eyes locked on the car. A driver in a crisp uniform stepped out, opening the rear door. James Carter emerged, tall and understated in a charcoal blazer, his dark hair streaked with gray, exuding quiet power. Mike bolted forward, all smiles. "Good morning, sir. Mike Reynolds, sales manager. It's an honor to have you at Bayview Motors." James shook his hand, voice cool. "James Carter." Mike's brain ticked. Name sounded familiar, but he couldn't place it. "Mr. Carter, what brings you in? We've got some exclusive models just arrived." James raised a hand. "I'm here for the Mercedes S-Class. My wife asked about it yesterday." Mike's grin faltered, gears grinding. "Your wife? I don't think I—" James locked eyes with him. "Emily Harper. Gray hoodie, jeans. You told her she didn't belong here, right?" Mike's face went white, sweat beading. Chuck hurried over, sensing trouble. "Mr. Carter, I'm Charles Donovan, owner. Everything okay?" James turned, tone even but cutting. "My wife, Emily, came to buy that S-Class for her friend. Your man Mike here said she wasn't worth his time, kicked her out in front of everyone. You backed him up. I was set to buy the Mercedes plus 6 cars for my company fleet. Now I'm not so sure this is the place." The showroom fell silent. Ethan spoke up, voice shaky. "Sir, I saw it. Ms. Harper was polite, but they treated her awful just because of how she looked." Mike glared, but James nodded. "Thanks, kid." He faced Chuck. Emily runs the Roots Foundation, helps foster kids and single moms. She's raised millions, lives simple because it keeps her grounded. Yesterday, she was ready to pay cash for that car, but you didn't give her a chance. Chuck stammered, "Mr. Carter, I'm so sorry. This was a huge mistake. We'll fix it." James smirked faintly. "Words are cheap. Next month, Roots is hosting a fundraiser for foster youth programs. Mike, I want you there volunteering. Learn what real value looks like. Chuck, your staff needs bias training. I can recommend experts." Chuck nodded fast. "Absolutely, sir." James turned to Ethan. "You'll handle the S-Class sale. I'm taking it today. The fleet? We'll see how you step up." Ethan blinked. "Me? Thank you, sir." James nodded, heading to Chuck's office, leaving Mike frozen, his world unraveling. A month later, the Roots Foundation fundraiser lit up the Bayview Grand Hotel. Foster kids and families mingled, laughter echoing through the hall. Mike Reynolds, in a plain volunteer tee instead of his suit, stood by the door, guiding a blind teen, Tyler Evans, 14, to his seat. A month with the foundation had shifted him from grudging duty to genuine awe at the kid's resilience. Emily, in a simple green dress, approached. "How's it going, Mike?" He paused. "Humbling and overdue." She smiled. "Tyler likes you. Says you're good at describing the room." Mike looked down. "Ms. Harper, I'm sorry, not just for the job, but for real. I was wrong." She nodded. "What matters is what you've learned." He straightened. "That worth isn't about looks or cash. It's how you live." James joined them, hand on Emily's shoulder. "Mike's a room-describing pro now?" Emily laughed. "Getting there." James eyed Mike. "Ethan says you've been mentoring him. My fleet still needs 6 cars. Want in?" Mike froze, then nodded. "I'd be honored, sir." That night, as the event wound down, Mike helped Tyler with photos, realizing he'd changed, not just from losing a big sale, but from finding something bigger. Here's the truth. Don't let appearances fool you. Real value runs deeper. If Emily's story hit you, smash that like, share it with someone who's been misjudged, and drop a comment. Ever been sized up wrong because of how you look? Hit subscribe and ring that bell for more stories of grit, truth, and second chances. Worth isn't in your wallet. It's in how you treat folks when you think no one big is watching.